Good evening, good evening, my brothers and sisters. How are you doing this evening? Your brother Tony is in the house. Come on in, come on in. Sit down at the dinner table. We have plenty of good food for the soul. Come on in, come on in. Invite some more family members and friends. We're not going to be at the dinner table too long tonight, my brother and sister. So those of you that have to get up early in the morning, I'm going to make it basically short and sweet. Also, we're gonna have a brief Q&A session right after we eat our dessert. So come on in, come on in. We got three portions. We're gonna have that appetizer, we're gonna have the main course, and we're gonna have the dessert. So come on in, brothers. Come on in, sister. You don't want to miss being at the dinner table tonight. If this is your first time at the dinner table with me, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tony M. Toomer, and I speak on relationship. I speak on relationship basically from a biblical point of view. When I said biblical point of view, I believe strongly that God had a unique relationship with the man Adam. Secondly, he had a unique relationship with the woman Eve. Thirdly, God brought the woman and the man together. From the rib of the man, God formed the woman, and he represented the woman to the man. And in the presence of God, Adam said, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, I should call a woman because she came from man. That's the position that I come from. If you have another position when it comes to a relationship, you have what is called a free will. God gave you a free will. But if you're sitting at the dinner table, I basically talk about the relationship between a man, a woman that have God or should have God as a part of the relationship. With that said, my brother and sister, I'm talking on two different platforms. I'm talking on the book and I'm talking on the tube. Those of you on the tube, I may make a comment to those that are on the book. Those of you on the book may not see it, and vice versa. Those of you that I make those of you that are on the book, I may make some comment to those that are on the tube. You may not see it, but we're all family here. So go ahead, my brother and sister, invite some more family members and friends because they need some of this good food for the soul. Come on in, come on in. Sit down at the dinner table. You're going to enjoy what's on the menu tonight. So what is on the menu tonight, what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about three reasons why you should only allow God to select your mate. Three reasons why you should allow only God to select your mate. I know we're into the hookup age. I already know about that. I know that we may depend on family, friends, or a coincidence per se to meet up with the one. But my brother and sister, we should not leave the person that we need to have a solid relationship with in the hands of other people unless God work through other people or by chance. It's not like that. My brother and sister, when we choose a mate, we supposed to choose a mate with purpose in mind. You understand? With purpose in mind. And it got to be more than me, myself, and I. It got to be about we, us, and our. Because we, us, and our is the love language. Me, myself, and I is not no love language. So have you won? How you doing, Sister Tierra or more? Come on in, come on in. Those of you that are at the dinner table, when you come on in and you can speak to the other family members and friends, there's nothing wrong with it. As a matter of fact, you can carry on a conversation with the other family member and friend as long as you're carrying on a conversation about the topic that we're talking about at the dinner table, okay? And as I stated briefly, at the end of our dinner, when we after the dessert, we're going to have a brief Q&A session. If you have any questions that you want to put in front of me or any of the other sisters and brothers, okay? Because we're family. Now, again, those of you that are coming in tonight, the topic or what's on the menu for tonight is three reasons why you should allow only God to select your mate. Now, have you ever wondered, my brother? Have you ever wondered, my sister, why some of you continue to go through different types of relationship? You go from relationship to relationship. Or have you ever wondered the current relationship that you're in, there's ongoing conflict? And that at the dinner table tonight, that's what we're going to get into. If you, my brother, or if you, my sister, keep going from relationship to relationship, you're looking for something. What are you looking for? The question is, are you looking for the perfect person? There is not one perfect man, sister. There is not one perfect woman, brother, but there can be a right man for you, sister. And that could be a right um woman for you, brother, only if you allow God to select the man or the woman. Most of us don't even are not even conscious of including God in doing the selecting. We think that because God give us a free will, we can go and do whatever we want to do. Of course, we can choose to do it, but that's not the best course of action. Now we're at the appetizer phase of the menu, okay? Do any of you old schoolers, including myself, do you ever remember this show, my brother and sister? It was called Father Knows Best. Do you all remember that show, Father Knows Best? The stove where the show starred this actress called, her name was Jane White, and you had Lauren Chapin. She was the youngest daughter on the show. You had Billy Gray. He was the son. And then you had Eleanor Donahue. She was the oldest sister. And the star himself, Robert Young. Robert Young was the main character of Father Knows Best. And he was considered a wise family man, while his wife, you know, Robert Young character was called Jim Anderson. And so his wife, she was the common sense wife. Her name was Margaret, and back to the children, their name was Betty, Bud, and Kathy. If you all can remember the show called Father Knows Best, it was centered around the main character, Robert Young, and his character was named Jim Anderson. But better than that, my brother and sister, we have a father. We have a real father. And our father, my brother and sister, is Jesus Christ, Father, God. That's who our father is. Now, that's the father that knows best in everything. I mean everything, but when I say everything, I mean everything that's created. God created everything. But we condensing this down to a part of God creation that's called the relationship. Now, we should think, my brothers and sisters, that God, as being a wise father, he knows what's best for his sons and daughters when it comes to being in a relationship. When we go to Proverbs 3, that's chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. Again, that's Proverbs 3, chapter 3, 5 through 6. Proverbs chapter 3, 5 through 6. We see as that it is written, trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. And this includes everything, but we are condensing it down to a relationship. Listen again from Proverbs chapter 3, 5 through 6. It said, trust in the Lord with all thy heart. It don't say trust in our heart. It said trust in the Lord. As you know, my brother and sister, they got songs out there. They got movies. You hear people saying trust in your heart, follow your heart. No, you don't do that. You don't trust in your heart and nothing, my brother and sister. You only trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not to thy own understanding. I know some people out there that think they smart and they intellectual when it comes to choosing things, and especially when it comes to a relationship. But my brother and sister, don't be unwise. Don't be unwise. You go to the Lord, because don't lean to your own understanding. Don't lean to the understanding of other men and other women when it comes to uh, getting a mate to be a part of your life, if you desire to have a mate in your life, okay? And in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. That's in all things in life, and we're talking about relationship. When it comes to relationship, my brother and sister, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. That means, my brother and sister, when it comes to a relationship, brother, if you if you desire to have the right woman in your life, sister, if you desire to have the right man in your life, acknowledge God through his son Jesus Christ, and he's going to direct you in what you need to do. And how does he direct you? When he give you his spirit, when he give you his spirit, the spirit he is from the Lord God Jesus, and Jesus transferred to the spirit, and the spirit transferred to you wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and discernment in all things of life. But we're condensing this down to the right relationship. Now, my brother and sister, what we need to understand is some of you brothers and some of you sisters have failed when it came to a relationship. Like your brother Tony have failed. I have failed plenty of times when it came to a relationship, like some of you brothers and sisters have failed, and some of you brothers and sisters are going to continue to fail. Why are you going to continue to fail, my brother and sister? Now, there's a question. This is the question, my brother and sister. What I had to do is ask myself, why did it happen to me? Why did it continue to happen to me? Why did I keep getting into the wrong type of relationship? I had to ask myself that question. I had to look in my eternal mirror and say, Tony, why you keep getting in the wrong type of relationship? Are you hooked up on how a woman look? Are you hooked on how a woman shape? Are you hooked on this or that? And some of you brothers and sisters, you were hooked on some type of phonics when you decided to choose, sister, a man or men, and it failed. And some of you brothers, you decided to choose a woman or women, and it failed. And I can understand. I have walked, like I always say, I have walked down that valley before, and I understand what it's like to fail in a relationship. I understand. The reason why I understand, because I got life experience. I tried to do it my way, and by me trying to do it my way, I got burnt a lot of time until a light went off in my head, where the light turned on in my head, and I said, I need to do it God's way. So when I started doing it God's way in things of life, and especially when it came to a relationship, my relationship is start flourishing because because I decided to do it God's way. Now, the simple thing, my brother and sister, to avoid failures in everything of life, especially when it comes to a relationship, it's simple, my friend. Why it kept failing for me, and it keep failing for some of you, and it's currently failing for some of you. The simple answer, my brother and sister, we didn't ask God to select the right person to come into our lives. And it's just that simple. We did not ask God to come into our lives. And there's another question, my brother and sister. Why God still haven't answered some brothers and sisters' desire to meet the right mate? Now, that was some of you brothers and sisters, you may be wondering. Some of you may saying, why, Lord, I pray to you, God, for some of you brothers may say, Lord, I pray to you for the right woman. And some of you sisters may say, I pray for the right man to be in my life. But what causes God to say no sometimes? Because when God answers our prayers, my brother and sister, don't ever think he doesn't answer. And he answers our prayers in several ways. Sometimes he said yes immediately. Sometimes he said yes immediately. Sometimes he may say, not right now. Sometimes God may say, I got something better. And then a lot of times, whether you know it or not, God may just say a flat no. Now, some of us will say, well, why would God say no, and we supposed to ask him, and we ask him things according to his word, he will give it to us. But before God give it to us, my brother and sister, you got to understand this. When God do things, it's for his purpose and his reason. It's not about our purpose and our reason. It's for the good of us, but it's not for our purpose and our reason. It's for God, because God got a purpose, and God is going to glorify himself. So that's what we have to understand. Now, why is it? in all things, and especially some relationship where God have not, brother, allowed you to find the right woman. And sister, why have God not allowed the right man to find you? When we go to James chapter 4, it's 2 through 5. Again, it's James chapter 4, 2 through 3. James 4, chapter 2 through 3. James 4, chapter 4, 2 through 3. It say this. It said, ye lust and have not. Ye kill and desire to have, but you can't obtain. You fight and you war, yet you have not, because you ask not. You ask, and this is a key thing, you ask and receive not, because you ask amiss, that you may consume it upon your lust. That's the main thing, my brother and sister. Some of us, we desire things and we may desire a relationship, but God knows he won't give it to us because he knows we want to consume that man or that woman upon our lust. We don't seek that man or woman to come into our life so we could walk together and worship God together and bring people to Christ. That's why God put a relationship together, my brother and sister. You have to understand that God put a relationship together for his glory, and he also give it to us because he basically said that it's not good for man to be alone. I will make for him a helpmeet. So if you're wondering, sometimes some of you brother and some of you sister, not all you brothers, some of you sister, because he could have blocked me a long time ago because of I called myself following him, but I wasn't doing according to what he want me to do. I was doing a lot of selfish things. And so just again in James chapter 4, 2 through 3, it said, you lust and you have not, you desire to have and you cannot attain, you fight and war, yet you have not, because you ask not. But when you do ask, you receive not. Why you don't receive not again? Because you ask amiss, that you may consume it upon the lust. Your lust, brother, your lust, sister, and I could testify the same thing happened to me, because that's why it took me a long time for God to bring the right woman into my pathway. It was that simple. And so, brother and sister, you got to look at yourself sometime and say, why is it? Why I do not have that person in my life? Some men and women, you're thinking, especially some sister, you're thinking, I'm getting older and older and older. And that's when a lot of men and women, sometimes you settle. You settle because you're becoming impatient. Don't settle because you're becoming impatient. And don't be thinking too much. Don't get caught up into how old you are. I know you may desire, brother, a woman right now, and I know, sister, you may desire a man right now, but be patient, because if you get in front of God, you're gonna mess up. And a lot of brothers and a lot of sisters, you be so impatient, whereas you put yourself in a predicament or a situation where you get yourself hurt, you get yourself used, you get yourself abused, and you don't want to get yourself abused. You don't want to get yourself used. You don't want to cry a lot of tears. You don't want to lose a lot of resources. You don't want to lose a lot of peace of mind. So that's why, my brother and sister, you need to allow only God to select your mate. Now, we're at the main course of the dinner table tonight. There are 3 points that I need to make. 3 points that I need to make. Number one, when it comes to allowing only God to select your mate, the reason why is because God is love, and he created the relationship for his purpose and his glory. You got to understand that God is love, and he created the relationship for his purpose and his glory. It was not about your purpose, brother. It was not about your purpose, sister. It was not about my purpose. It's for God's purpose and his glory. He is the one that created relationship. So if God is the one that created relationship, therefore he have the blueprint of the relationship. He has the authority to tell us how to go about a relationship. Even though he give us what is called a free will, God is the one that still decide how a relationship supposed to be. As we understand, when we go back to the Garden of Eden, what did God do? He created a man first. That don't mean a man is better than a woman. Let me put that out there. He created a man first, and he created a woman secondly. When God created the man first, what did he do? God had a unique relationship with a man first. How you doing? I am the real media. Welcome to the dinner table. What did God do first? He created the man first. And when he created the man, what did he do? He put the man in an environment. The environment was called Eden. That's where the presence of God was at, in Eden, or that's where Adam lived. So Adam, like I have said before, if you look at it, Adam had somewhere to live. After God put Adam somewhere to live, what did God do after that? God gave Adam a job. What was the job? He cultivated the ground. How you doing, Sister Cynthia Palm? Welcome to the dinner table. What did Adam do? He cultivated. First, he had a home. Then he had a job. He was to cultivate. Then God gave Adam a responsibility. What was the responsibility? He brought all the animals to Adam. He brought a male and he brought a female of its kind. He did not bring, he brought a male, and I always say that he brought a male dog, a female dog, a male elephant, a female elephant, a male lion, a female lion. He brought two different genders one by one. Even when you look at the story about the ark, what did God send on the ark? He sent 2 by 2 of different genders. That is God's purpose for a relationship. Even when you look at the animal kingdom, animals sometimes, my brother and sister, God put in animals to know that I need to, a male lion, he know to go to a female lion. A male monkey know to go to a female monkey. God put it in them, and they're not confused. Why are we confused? Some of us confused. When you look at God's word, that's how God constructed it. This is not me saying it. I'm just telling you how it is and how it was, how God created the relationship. So if God created the relationship, he is the one that can call the shot and tell how it's supposed to be. When a man and a woman is in the right type of relationship, that man and that woman glorify God, because I always say this, and the Bible even clearly say that man and that woman is a replica of the Lord relationship with the church. So when you look at it from a man point of view, the man's supposed to model the Lord Jesus as the bridegroom and the husband, whereas the church supposed to represent the wife. She is the bride, then she's soon to be the wife. God is love. And the only way a man and woman can experience love is if that man and woman does it God's way. If a man and woman does not do it God's way, therefore that man and woman cannot experience in-depth love. In what way does God want a man and a woman to experience love? The only way a man and woman can experience love, that man, just like Adam before he messed up, he had a unique one-on-one relationship with God. And Eve, she had a one-on-one relationship with God before God brought her to Adam. And then they collectively had a relationship with God. I'm going to tell you that, my brother and sister, if you decide that if you really want to get it right, you need to have God as the foundation of your relationship. Most relationship coaches will not tell you what I just said. Most counselors will not tell you. When they went to school, they're going to tell you what they went to school about. Most relationship coaches, they're not going to tell you. They're going to leave God out the equation. Most relationship counselors, they're going to leave God out. Most relationship gurus, they're going to leave God out. They're going to tell you things from the world point of view. If you listen to the relationship coaches, because a lot of them out there, especially on the tube and social media, and then there's some that do tours and stuff, they're not going to tell you the truth. The truth is you have to have a foundation, my brother and sister, and that foundation is God through his son, Jesus Christ. If you don't have his son, Jesus, in a relationship, you're building your home, your house on sinking sand, But if you have the Lord as your foundation in a relationship, you building your house, which is a home on the inside. You're on solid ground. You're on the rock. So do you want the rock or do you want sinking sand? Number two, 3 out of 3 reasons why you should allow only God to select your mate. Because God is the only one that defines the role and order of the relationship between a husband and a wife. I'm going to say that 2 more times. God defines the role and the order of a relationship between a husband and a wife. Again, number 2, God defines the role and order of a relationship between a husband and a wife, as it is written in 1 Corinthians 11:3. Corinthians 11:3, it said, but I want you to realize that the head of every man is Christ. Listen to the role and position, okay? And the head of the woman is the man. And the head of Christ is God. I'm going to say this 2 more times in 1 Corinthians 11:3. But I would want you to realize, this is what Paul said to the church of Corinth. I want you to realize the head of every man, how you doing, Sister Flo? Welcome to the dinner table, is Christ. And the head of the woman is the man. Let me stop right there. Let me pause right there. When it said the head of the head of the woman is the man, it don't mean every man. It don't mean her boyfriend. It doesn't mean her boo. It doesn't mean anyone that she's dating. It specifically is talking about a husband is the woman's head. Sister, if that man is not your husband, if that man haven't asked you to be serious with him, if that man have not asked you to commit with him to a one-on-one relationship, if that man have not said I do to you, he is not your head. You do not have to follow him. You are a free agent until he say I do. You understand? Brother, she is not your wife. If she's not your wife, you don't owe her any husband duties. You don't have to pay her bills. You don't have to get her hair done, her nails done. You ain't got to do all that foolishness. That's the world way, my brother and sister. The world twists things around. And there's a lot of relationship they're playing house. There are more couples that play house. They play the part of husband. They play the part of the wife, and they can get an Oscar for best husband acting and best wife for the year. They can get an Oscar. Don't be that actor, brother. Don't just play the role of a husband. Sister, don't just play the role of a wife. Be a husband. Be a wife. Why do some men and some women think we can just go part of the way and we can get the fruits of a full, healthy relationship? If you, my brother, and if you, my sister, do not do it God's way, believe me, I always tell you, I use myself an example. I have walked in the valley. I tried to do it my way several times. I thought I was living a good life, but I was blind. I was doing it the world's way. And I thought it was love. It was not love. It was not love because I did not allow, or she did not allow God to be the foundation of our relationship. I chose to be in the wrong type of relationship. And I always tell you, my brother and sister, I don't blame no woman that I was in a relationship with for what befell me. I have to take responsibilities for me being hard-headed or cold or stone-hearted. I have to take responsibility, and I have to be accountable for my own action. Like a lot of you brothers and sisters, you got to come to the point where you're accountable because you have been making the wrong selection on your own when it comes to a relationship, brother, with a woman, or sister, when it comes to a relationship with a man. So number two, again, God defined the role and order of a relationship between the husband and wife. And I'm going to re-say this. 1 Corinthians 11:3. But I will have you to realize that the head of every man is Christ, the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. That's the divine order. The divine order. You got to remember that, my brothers and sisters. Point number three, out of three reasons why you should allow God to select your mate. Only allow God to select your mate. God instructs the man how to treat his wife. And then there's another part that I'm going to touch on. He also instructs a wife how to treat her husband. If you notice this, I didn't say God instruct a man how to treat his girlfriend. I did not tell you I did not say how God said to treat your women. None of that. It's a position that you need to be in, and that's the position. If you don't get into position, you're going to miss out on a whole lot of things that God has stored for you if you do it his way. Now, if you want to do it your way, continue to do it your way. But you missing something. You think you know what love is, brothers. You think you know what love is, sister, because you feel good. You're going by your feelings. When it comes to love, my brother and sister, love is a decision. Some people think that love is a feeling. Feeling has something to do with it, but love is a decision. You understand? Love is a decision. You have to decide to love someone unconditionally. Most relationships, my brother and sister, there are conditions to the relationship. There will be a man that tell a woman, as long as you do this, we good. If you do this, we're not. And then there's some women, as long as you do this, we're good. But if you do this, I'm gone. That's not love. That's conditional. When it comes to mature spiritual love, it's called unconditional. When it's unconditional, no man keep the score on his woman. No woman keep the score on her man. That's unconditional love. We got to get that right when it comes to relationship. Relationship ain't based on conditions to grow and to flourish. You have to have unconditional love, which leads to forgiveness. If you don't have unconditional love, my brother, if you don't have unconditional love, my sister, you're going to have a problem forgiving your mate. Even though your mate is a human being that will fall on his or her face during the relationship, he or she going to piss you off. He or she may make you drop a tear. So that's why you have to understand it's called unconditional love. And you got to get beyond the point of keeping scores. Just like if your mate do something and then you say, okay, you do it again, I'm out. What if God had that attitude towards us when we do something wrong and then we say, okay, Lord, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it no more. Then we do it again. What if God said, okay, you do it again, I'm out? You wouldn't like that, would you? None of you brother, none of you sister, me or Cinderella wouldn't like it to treat one another like that, but then we want God to treat us a certain way. In order, my brother and sister, for God to treat you the right way, especially if you're married, You got to love your mate just like Christ handled us. Unconditional. You see, brothers, so you got to get to the point when you treat one another right, you got to get to the point where you be able to separate the person from his or her deed. That's what Jesus did when he died for us on the cross. Even though we have done some wrong things, he pardoned us. He don't hold it in no account to bring it back up in our face. Immature couple is a couple that keep bringing dead stuff up in a relationship. I'm going to tell you this, and I'm not bragging. I'm not putting us on no pedestal, nothing. And I have said it before. Since my wife and I have been together, there's not one time has she brought up anything that I have pissed her off about or whatever I displeased. She have not ever thrown it up in my face. That's not saying that she didn't think about it. Now, and me, I have not to this day brought up nothing when she have pissed me off and threw it up in her face. If it was something that we disagreed with, we have to talk at a time when we're both calm. You see, when you have a conflict, you got to understand how to treat your mate. You do not resolve a conflict, my brother and sister, when you are angry and when you're upset. Because if you approach your mate, my brother and sister, in the midst of you angry, the chances of you saying something destructive is greater. Because the Bible clearly say in the book of James that the tongue has the power of life and death. Your mouth, brother, can kill your wife. Your mouth, sister, can kill your man. Words have the ability to build and lift up. Words have the ability to destroy and separate. So you got to be conscious, my brothers. You got to be conscious, my sister, of those words that come out of your mouth. Before they come out of your mouth, they formulate in your mind / your heart. And then you willfully going to do it or you're not going to do it. So you got to understand this. It's just like if you was in court, and some of you have seen the court scene, whereas a lawyer, he would get up and say something in front of the jury. And when he says something in front of the jury, what does the juror say? Strike that, disregard that. The judge telling the jury to strike and disregard what you just heard. How can you, brothers, how can you, sister, disregard something that was just thrown out there? The reason why they do that in court, they do it intentional. They do it intentional because they know if they say something, the jury is not going to forget it. The jury is not like God and Christ, where they could just whitewash the mind. They're not like that. The jury is composed of imperfect men, imperfect women that think differently, got different attitudes, and they bring a whole bunch of different backgrounds to it. So most of the time, my brother, sister, not most of the time, every time you say something, it's going to impact your destiny, especially your destiny with that man or that woman. Now, when it comes to a man, God instructed a man like this, how to treat his wife. And God does this through Apostle Paul. As it is written in Ephesians 5:25. Again, it's Ephesians 5:25, Ephesians 5:25. The Bible say, as it is written, it says, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Again, Ephesians 5:25. God instruct man, a spiritual man, how to treat his wife, not a girlfriend, not someone that he is not serious, committed, and have said I do. Because, brother, if you could do things with the woman as if she your wife, why don't you make her your wife and do it God's way? Why you want to keep doing it your way and and try to get that Oscar. God thing said, husband, love your wife, and the example, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Brothers, if you are a spiritual driven man, you would do right by God and you would do right by that woman. You will see that woman just like she's the most valuable thing in your life other than your relationship to God. I'm going to say that 2 more times. You will see that woman as the most valuable person or thing in your life other than your relationship with Christ. Just you will see that woman as the most valuable thing in your life other than your relationship with Jesus. So, brother, you got to get to the point when you're with a woman, you got to see her as having value. If a man, let's look at it from a carnal standpoint or a secular standpoint. When you have something of value, you treat it very well, do you not? And you make sure it's secure. You make sure that you got it in a safe place. That's how you have to treat a woman that you are serious, you committed, and you move towards the covenant phase of the relationship. Secondly, God instruct the woman how to treat the man, her husband, not her boyfriend, not her side dude, but the man that she is in a serious, committed, and covenant relationship with. God said through Apostle Paul, writing to the church in Ephesus, it's Ephesians 5:33. Ephesians 5:33. Ephesians 5:33. It is written, nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife even as himself. This is a carryover from how God, through Apostle Paul, telling the man how to treat his wife, the right type of relationship. Now, this is a carryover. Ephesians 5:33. It said, nevertheless, let every one of you so in particular love his wife even as himself. Now, here's the clincher for a woman how to treat a man. Not a boyfriend, not her side dude, or somebody that she see 12 a.m. in the morning when he called you, text you, say what you're doing. None of that. This is what it said. And wives, see that she reverence her husband. You see what it say? Wives, see that you reverence your husband. Wives, see that you reverence your husband. Not anybody, not other titles, but your husband. What does reverence mean? Let's see what the dictionary say what reverence means. Reverence, my brothers, and reverence, my sister, is defined as a feel of deep respect or awe. Again, reverence is defined as a feeling of deep respect or awe. Since you sisters like to go by your feelings so much, that's what the dictionary is saying. It said reverence is defined as feeling of deep respect or awe. Remember, I told you several times, my sister, men define love as respect. Remember, I always say that. And you sister, you got to understand that men don't look at love like you look at love. And brothers, women don't look at love like you look at love. I always say this, sisters, if you desire for a man to love you the right way, y'all got to be in the right position, first of all. And when you're in the right position, you have to sow respect into him, because you like a farmer, you got to cultivate respect if you desire to reap love. And brother, if you desire to have respect, you got to sow love. You got to cultivate love. So love and respect go hand in hand. You got a male and you got a female. When it comes to a relationship, the man bring it in that love thing that a woman needs, the emotional part. And the woman bringing in that helpmate part, and she bringing in respect. Because when a man select a woman through God, That woman represents the man. Because the Bible clearly say that the woman is the glory of the man. Tony is not saying that. The Bible clearly say that the woman is the glory of the man. So, brother, it's vital when it comes to marriage. You need to marry the right woman. A woman, brother, people look at, not only do people look at what you do as far as your profession, they look at who's on your arms. You got to understand that. They're looking at who on your arms. When that woman in your life, that woman can have an impact. That's what a lot of you guys don't understand. A woman have a lot of impact on your life and your purpose from God. Brother, if you marry a woman, she's going to have an impact in your life. That's why you have to be very wise. You have to be very shrewd, and you got to be non-emotional when you selecting a woman to be your wife. And sister, you have to be wise. You can't go by your feelings all the time when it comes to a husband. You got to, now your feeling has something to do with, but you got to look at what type of man is this. You got to look at a man. Can I respect him? Can I follow him as he followed Christ? A lot of women don't think that way. They think secular. What can I get out of him? Can I get a big house out of him? Can I get money out of him? Instead of coming to the relationship, what can I bring into this relationship to help this man as he walking on the road for Christ? You see, to tell you the truth, my brother and sister, when a man and woman get together, that man and woman working as a partnership. So when the world see them, they supposed to be working in a partnership, whereas they point everybody to Christ. That's what a relationship is about, when a man and woman is brought together, not to be a power couple. From the world standpoint, it's bigger than that. It's to point people to Christ. They are on a team. They're working together. Now, that was the main course. Here go the dessert. After dessert, my brother and sister, we're going to have a small Q&A thing. If anything you want to ask, just say at the end, when I get to the end, if you trying to formulate your question, you put down there, wait, so I can know that you got a question coming up. Now, this is the dessert part. Listen up. I said 3 reasons why you should only allow God to select your mate. Why did I say that? Everyone, man or woman, should ask or pray or both, because it's the same thing. You ask God to select your mate, especially the man, because a good woman represents her husband, because she is the helpmeet. And this is a classic example of praying for a mate. Listen to me carefully. This is a classic example how God come through when he select a mate for someone. And I ain't got time to go into the details of it, but this is what you need to read, my brother and sister. Listen, if you want some good wisdom and knowledge, understanding, discernment, you need to read this. It's in God's word. And it's in Genesis chapter 24, verse 11 through 61. It's long, but it's something that you need to understand. It's Genesis chapter 24, verse 11 through 61. Again, it's Genesis 24, 11 through 61. So some of you saying, Tony, what that's about? I'm going to give you a brief what it's about. It's about Abraham. Abraham had a son. He had 2 sons. Well, he had, as a matter of fact, some of you all don't know, Abraham actually had 4 sons. You are familiar with Ishmael by the bond servant. You know the Sarah servant. You remember her. You remember Ishmael was from the bond servant. Hagar. And Isaac was from Sarah. He was the promised son. When Sarah died, Abraham married again. A lot of people don't know that. Abraham married again and he had 2 more sons. That's right. Abraham had 2 more sons. But we're talking about the promised child, Isaac, that God promised him through Sarah. I'm going to give you a background. Sarah died. Abraham's first wife died. Isaac's mother, Sarah, died. He loved his mother. He was heartbroken. At the same time, Abraham, he had to pass down his lineage through his son. But in order for the lineage to go on, his son needed a wife. Abraham knew his son needed a wife. Listen to what I said. He knew his son needed a wife. Remember what the Bible said a long time ago? It says it's not good for a man to be alone. So Abraham is an illustration of God. Isaac like an illustration of Adam. So what did Abraham do? He called his trusted servant to go find a wife for his son. Abraham, it was a whole bunch of women where Abraham was staying at. But Abraham knew these women that was around them, they had the Jezebel, Delilah spirit. So he did not want his son dealing with these foreigner women. He told his trusted servant to go back to his homeland and find one. So Abraham trusted servant, took some camels and everything, and he headed back to where Abraham came from. When he got there, Abraham trusted servant did not know which woman to bring back for his master's son. So what did he do? He prayed to Abraham God to select the woman for his master's son. Now listen now. Abraham's servant prayed to God to select his master's son Isaac's wife. And this is how it went. When he got there, he seen a whole lot of ladies with those big pots going to get some water to fill it up to the brim. It was a whole bunch of them where he was at. He was tired. His camels was tired. So he was just looking at all those women. He probably seen a whole bunch of beautiful women, but he didn't know which one to bring to his master's son. So he prayed to God. He prayed to God, and this is how it went. I'm just paraphrasing. He said, God, the God and Lord of my master Abraham, I need help. My master's son needs a wife. I don't know how to pick the woman, the wife, the best one for him. But Lord, I need your help. Give me a sign. This is the sign I need for you to help me with, Lord, so I can clearly know that's the lady that you selected for my master's son. A lot of ladies are going getting water, and they're filling it up to the brim. I need you, Lord, to have a lady to offer me some water. And I need for you to have her to offer my beast or camels some water. Once she offered me some water, she don't know me from nobody. She never seen me before. She don't know nothing about me. But give me that sign. Different women went by Abraham's servant. There's one lady, she came up to him. She didn't know him. She said, do you want some water? I want to give you some water. Then she said, can I give your beast some water? You see how he prayed? He prayed and it happened. And then he told her the prayer that he told God. And she went along with the plan. She was a part of the purpose. Isaac and Rebekah got together. He took Rebekah back with him. She agreed to go back. When Isaac, he was still feeling hurt because his mother had died. He seen Rebekah. For those of you that believe in love at first sight, it is a true thing, love at first sight. If God is in the equation, you got to understand that if God is in the equation, they never met before. This was before online dating. This before the hookups. This was before going somewhere and running into someone. This was divine meeting from a prayer. When Isaac seen her jump off his camel, he was smitten in love. She was smitten in love. They went into his mama's tent, Sarah, and they consummated their relationship. On day one, when they consummate their relationship on day one, they were married. And we know who came out of that union. They had two twins. One of the twins was Jacob. Jacob's name got changed to what? Israel. Israel had the 12 sons. The 12 sons represent the 12 tribes of Israel. Israel had a son named Benjamin. That was Joseph's youngest brother by his mother, Rachel. Benjamin, the tribe of Benjamin, and the tribe of Judah. You need to read this up. How Jesus came down the lineage of Abraham. He came down the lineage of Isaac. He came down the lineage of Israel. When God put a relationship together, my brother and sister, it's for his purpose. His purpose is to redeem man back to himself. Adam and Eve gave Satan the deed of the world. Jesus came back. He died on the cross. He spilled his blood. He redeemed us. He took back the deed. Jesus had to go to the pawn shop called the world and redeem us back. Redeem means to buy back. How did Jesus buy us? With his blood. That's how Jesus bought us, with his blood. Now, we can have a Q&A session. Is there anyone that have a question on anything as far as relationship go? Do any of you brothers have a question? If you have a question and you're trying to formulate your question, put weight so I can see it. Any of you sisters, if you have a question, while you formulating your question, put the word wait down there. When you put wait, I'm going to wait to respond to what you say. Or any other brother and sister, they see it, they can put their point of view in there. So if there's anything you want to say at the dinner table, my brother and sister, this is the time to ask. Okay, Sister India, she's at the dinner table. She said, wait. Okay, I'm waiting so she could formulate her question. And the rest of you, brother, if you have a question, you can put wait down there, formulate your question, and put it there, and we're going to address it at the dinner table. We're going to address it at the dinner table because we are family. So since we're family, we're at the Q&A part of the dinner table. And nothing better than good H2O. I hope that you brothers and sisters, I hope that you all had a fantastic day, because your brother Tony, my day was like Fred Flintstone, yabba dabba do, or you could say this, my day was excellent, blessed, with a twist of serenity. And that's how your day should be, my brother. So it should be excellent, blessed, with a twist of serenity. Sister Cynthia, she got a question too. She got weight down there. I'll wait for you all, sister, so we could address this at the dinner table. Whatever you all want to discuss, we could do it right now, because some of the questions that you all are asking to me or any other brothers and sisters on here that care to chime in, we're family here. So since we're family here, we could share our thoughts on different things. We may not agree on everything. We may see different. Just because we disagree don't mean that, hey, we ain't got time for each other. Sister Cynthia say, you said we are not supposed to divorce, but you remarry, is God going to punish you or me? Okay, good question, Sister Cynthia. We're going to go. It's two different phases. Number one, on the divorce part, we're going to go to the Old Testament. The Old Testament has something to do with the law. The law was directed to the Israelites. When Moses got the law, it was directed towards the Israelites. God gave it to the Israelites. So the Israelites, the 12 tribes, it was written for them. The part about a divorce towards the Israelites, the only reason they were supposed to get a divorce is for fornication, or per se adultery. What is adultery? Adultery is when a man or a woman have a relationship with someone other than his or her mate. That's what adultery was for. That was the only way for divorce to go down. But as a matter of fact, during that time, you got to understand it was a different time period. If a man or a woman got divorced, if a man or woman was caught in adultery during that time, they were stoned to death. That's right, they were stoned to death. The man or the woman that committed adultery, they were stoned to death. That was the penalty. Okay. Jesus came down. When Jesus came down here in the flesh, Jesus preached for about 3.5 years. Jesus was 33 when he got crucified. So Jesus preached about 3+ years, okay? This religious group, Jesus was teaching. And this religious group, they're going to bombard Jesus while he was teaching. And they asked Jesus a question about divorce. Jesus said this. Jesus said, because of the hardness of your heart, Moses allowed for you to write a bill of divorce. Jesus said, because of the hardness of your heart, but Jesus said, but it was not like that from the beginning. So what Jesus was saying, when God put a man and woman together from the beginning, it's supposed to be life. That's what Jesus was referring to. Jesus also said this, if a man look at a woman and lust after her in his heart, he has already committed adultery with her. That's why I always say, just imagine if God allowed a man to see his wife mind. What if God allowed a woman to see her husband mind? Married men sometimes think about other women. Let's be real. Married men, even though they don't physically do it, they may think about other women in a not too pleasant way. And on the other hand, there are some women, married women, they may not physically got involved with a man, but some women that are married, they have lust after other men besides their husband. And the same thing apply. If a woman have lust in her heart after another man, she have committed adultery with him in his heart. So adultery, my brother, and adultery, my sister, it starts on the inside and you see it on the outside, okay? Now, up under the new covenant, we are up on what is called grace. We're up on the grace. When it comes to the divorce issue, Paul addressed this. He addressed it. It's in the Bible. We're up on the grace. We're not up under the law. The law ceased when Jesus died on the cross. That's when grace kicked in. Okay. When grace kicked in, Paul addressed this question. Paul addressed it from two Christians, and he addressed it from a Christian and a non-Christian. If two Christians are married, they are not supposed to get a divorce. They may separate, but if they separate, they're supposed to come back together. That's two Christians. You understand? Paul also addressed this. If a Christian and a non-Christian is together, if that unbeliever leaves, check this out. If the unbeliever leaves, that Christian is not bound. You understand? So depending on your position, if it's two Christians, no divorce. If you separate, but you got to come back together. That means, brother, you don't supposed to have no girlfriend if you're a Christian. Sister, that means if you separate from your husband, that don't mean you go get no boyfriend, because most of the time when people separate and stuff, they get the boyfriends and the girlfriend. God don't mean it that way. He wants, if you got to separate and get yourself together, he wants you to come back. However, if it's a believer and an unbeliever, if that unbeliever leaves, a sister or brother is not under bondage. Paul also addressed this. If a man and a woman are married, and one is a Christian, and one is an unbeliever, but that unbeliever, man or woman, is pleased to stay there with the Christian cannot push him out. Because there are some cases where a man is not a Christian, a woman is not a Christian, they get married. And then while they married, one of them become a Christian. And just because you become a Christian, that don't mean you could kick your mate out because he or she is a Christian, not a Christian. You can't do that. Because how you know, brother, that she won't be converted to a Christian? Sister, how you know he won't be converted to a Christian? So if a Christian and a non-Christian get together and they have children, your children are sanctified because of God. I hope that I answered your question, sister. I hope that I did. Okay, I am the real me. Said Tony, I always love your lesson because it's biblical based. I'm curious, what led you to YouTube? Was it because of your own personal, what did it say? Hold on. It said, what led you to YouTube? Was it because of your own personal experience? What led me to YouTube, brother? That's a good question. What led me to YouTube? My thing was a lot of people on YouTube, they have a lot of relationship coaches over there on YouTube that are teaching people wrong. They are teaching people the wrong thing about relationship from a worldly standpoint. Most relationship coaches, they may have a whole lot of followers. And if they have a whole lot of followers, they are misleading these people. They're really misleading them. And most of the people that on there, they're not even in a relationship. Or they in a relationship, but they're not doing it God's way. Most of the relationships that are on YouTube, they pimping people. They pimping people. If you notice, they always want people to set aside counseling sessions. So they trying to get in people's pocket. That's all they doing. There's a whole lot of them over there, men and women that are teaching wrong. They will not teach from the Bible. You know why they won't teach from the Bible? Because they know they won't get no money. And that's why a lot of them over there on YouTube, because they want to get into the pocket by misleading people. That's why they're doing it. Okay. So Sister Cynthia said, you said we're not supposed to divorce, but remarry. Is God going to punish you or me? I hope I explained it, Sister, when I went through that long dialogue. Now, Sister Alexa asked, God desire we to honor him in all things. If a marriage isn't honoring or glorifying God, I do not believe God wants us as his children to remain there. No, God wants us to honor him. If we get married, God wants us to honor him, because when a man and a woman get together, it goes back to this. I'm going to tell you where it go to. When you look at Ephesians 5:25, Ephesians 5:25, Ephesians 5:25, it says, husband, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. That's the example. Sister Enya said, I have been married before. He passed away, and I have been single for some years now. My question is, why don't I like anyone that choose me? I've asked God, why don't I desire? You welcome, Sister Cynthia. Sister Enya said, I have been married before. He passed away, and I've been single for some years now. My question is, why don't I like anyone that chooses me? I've asked God, why don't I desire a husband? Let me tell you this, Sister India. Listen to this. The men that come to you, my question to you, sister, do you see Christ in these men? Do you see Christ? If you don't see Christ in these men, that's not the man for you. That go for all you sisters and brothers. If you don't see Christ in those people, they're not the one. You cannot go by looks. You cannot go by how they built. You can't go by what they have as far as assets or popularity or power. You have to go by whether or not that man or that woman have a relationship with God through his son Jesus first. Sister Enya said, not really. They speak of him, but no. Let me tell you this, Sister Enya. If they speak of him, you see, you could tell a tree by the fruit it bears. You see, a man that loved Christ, I put it to you this simple. Sister India, you said, okay, you say I don't feel safe. The reason you don't feel safe, Sister India, a woman or a man or woman that have the spirit of Christ, that's telling you something. That's telling you something. You getting a warning called a spirit of God. What the spirit of God does, it gives you what is called discernment. And that what you feeling, it could be the spirit of God warning you. If you all used to look at that show called Lost in Space, you all remember that song, that show called Lost in Space. You remember the robot that you say warning, warning, warning. You're getting a warning. You see, the thing about God, when it's good, you're gonna have peace. You're gonna have peace. When it's something flaky or don't seem right, or you can't put your finger on it, that's a warning. That's a red flag. That's a dog that carrying fleas. You don't want no fleas to get on you, Sister India. You don't want no fleas to get on you. So you get a warning from God. If it's the right man, that man gonna come to you. Let me tell you how a man come to you. When a man come to a woman, a man of God, he is going to come to a woman. He's going to look at her in her eyes, and he going to be serious about it. He's going to be serious. He's going to tell that woman what he's about. He's going to tell that woman his purpose, why he's here. Now he's going to tell her who he is. He need to be a son of God. Why he's here. He needs to let you know why he's here. Why he's here. I'm here because God want me to do this or that. That's part of his purpose. Then he need to have direction. If he doesn't have direction, a man shouldn't be trying to lead you to the bedroom. It ain't about leading the woman to the bedroom. It's about leading the woman to Christ. Even though you may think that way sometimes, because you see, a man dealing with the flesh and the spirit. A man and a woman, you're going to always be battle. You're going to always have a battle inside of you. Even if you're saved, you're going to have an inside battle, the flesh and the spirit. Paul talked about that. Paul said, something that I want to do, I don't do it. Something that I do, I don't want to do. He talked about that in Romans. And Paul was talking about the battle of the spirit and the flesh. But sister, you getting warned. If those men, if you don't have a desire, and let me tell you something, sister, let me tell you this. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. One basic thing that let a woman or man know that they made to be married. If you have a sexual desire, that's the basic. If you have a sexual desire, that lets you know, brothers and sisters, that lets you know that you was made to be married. You know why I say that? Because God don't want you having sex outside of marriage. Now, marriage is bigger than sex, but sex is a part of marriage. If you have a desire, then letting you know that even though the right man is not there, it letting you know that you wife material. And you, brother, if you have a desire for a woman, the basic part letting you know that you was made for a wife. Because remember, God don't want us. God is the one that created sex. God created sex. Sex is beautiful. Sex is fantastic if done the right way. You see, you can pervert sex or you can enhance sex. You see, I'm guilty of a whole lot of sexual sins. Yeah, I'm guilty. A lot of you brothers and sisters, y'all guilty too of doing or having sex outside of marriage or having sex before marriage. You had sex with your husband or wife before. That was wrong. But God only wants sex to be in marriage. Sex, my brother and sister, it's a gift. It's a gift. Unless you like Apostle Paul. Paul had another assignment. Paul really didn't have time for that type of relationship. Jesus did not have time for that type of relationship, but there's nothing wrong with it. The Bible say this. Listen to it carefully. It said, it's better to get married than to burn. Do you all realize that? The Bible says if you have passion, Paul said it's better to marry than to burn. He talked about physical passion. And you say, yes, but I'm not looking for a man I believe in. Oh, that's right. Sister India, don't look for him. Just all you have to do is live your life. Delight in the Lord, and he will bring the right man towards you. You could be at a filling station. You can be in a grocery store. I think you do balloons and stuff, right? You may be putting your balloons and stuff up, and then the guy walk up to you. You don't know how God going to bring together. A classic example of meeting. Ruth was not looking for no man. She wasn't looking for no man. After Ruth, you see, Ruth had a husband, Sister India. Ruth had a husband that died. Are you aware of that? Ruth's first husband died. Ruth was all focused on God, and she was focused on her mother-in-law, taking care of her mother-in-law. So when Ruth believed in the Lord and she was thinking about taking care of her and her mother-in-law. Like you be working, you be thinking about taking care of your business, right? So you taking care of your business. Just like Ruth was taking care of her business. Boaz spotted her. God put them in a situation where they were going to meet. Boaz noticed Ruth, and we know the rest of the story. They got married. So the same thing, sister. You could be doing what you doing, and then the next thing you know, a man could walk up to you and be serious. Cause a man that's serious about you, guess what? Just like Boaz did. Boaz, it didn't take him a long period of time to say something like this, and I'm paraphrasing this. When he talked to that farmer or the supervisor that was over Ruth, the other ladies and the other men, he told this farmer, he said, make sure, give us some extra. That's right. Give us some extra stuff. And I don't want to hear nothing about it. Because that's my stuff. Give it to her. So Boaz looked at Ruth. He was already in the mindset to provide for her. Not only that, he was in the mindset of protecting Ruth. He said, don't let nobody bother her. That's what men of Christ do. They look at, I see this woman, and I want to take care of her. I look at that woman, and I want to provide for her. I look at that woman, and I want to protect that woman. I want to protect that woman to the point whereas I'm willing to lay my life down for her. That goes back to Ephesians 5:25. It said, husband, love your wife, even as Christ also loved the church. And guess what he did? And he gave himself for it. How did Christ love the church? Like a husband love a wife. What did Jesus do? He died for it. If a man is not willing to die for his wife, he's not worthy to marry her. Real men are not afraid to lay down their life for their wife because they believe in the Lord and they believe in the resurrection. A man that select a woman, he needs to select the woman that God brings to him, because God always puts you in a situation where you're going to meet. It's just a matter of time. I have said it before, my brother and sister, I have said it before. When I met my wife, I had prayed. Some of you have heard it. You're going to have to hear it again. I prayed to the Lord. I said, Lord, I want a woman to follow in perfect me as I follow Christ. I wanted God to answer my prayer just like that. He didn't do it. It took 5 years before I met her. When I met her, it just took her 3 months to get married. We met in August some years back, and we got married on her birthday, October the 9th. When I seen her, I knew she was the one. Just like when Isaac seen Rebecca, he knew she was the one. When Boaz seen Ruth, he knows she was the one. Men know. We know how far we want to go with you all. We know it. That's no lie. If a man is pulling your string and talking about I need more time and stuff, that's a lie. Men know how far they want to go with you women. And the thing too, brother, women know how far they want to go with you too. But men, we know. We know when we look at you, sister, whether you, and I have said it before, we know whether we deem you as no wife or wife material. We look at you as 3 categories: temporary, long-term, marriage. What does temporary mean? I would see you when I see you. I would see you at 12 a.m. in the morning when I get a little frisky. That's when I want to see you. I want to see you every now and then. I don't want to commit to you. I don't want to be serious. I just want to have some fun. That's temporary. Temporary, long term. I would say I'm serious with you. I would say I will commit to you. Well, you can move in with me. I can move in with you, but I ain't gonna marry you. I'm not gonna marry you. What does marriage mean? Marriage is just a piece of paper. That don't mean nothing. That's a piece of paper. That's what cowards do. I ain't no marry her, let her take everything from me. That's a coward. Because if a man do it the wrong way, if a man do it the right way, even if they go to divorce court, because it is a fact, 70% of women file for divorce. That's a fact. But if a woman, if you mess with the wrong woman, of course she's gonna get you. You dealt with a Delilah, or you dealt with a woman that got that Jezebel spirit. She looked good, she was fine, and she took everything from you. You thought you were Samson, right? That's why Samson got a haircut off, because he was filled with lust. Or the third category, I see her as a wife. I see her as someone that I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to hide this woman. I want the world to know that she is the one. I'm not going to keep my relationship secret. It's just like Christ. When you have a relationship with Christ don't want you to keep your relationship with him secret. You ain't got to go around saying Jesus, 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 but Jesus wants you to talk in a way and move in a way that people can say, hey, he or she in a relationship with Jesus. And then you could have a testimony. So if a man or woman have a relationship with Jesus, Jesus don't want you to hide it. The same thing. If a man and a woman in a relationship, a man shouldn't hide his relationship with a woman. Or a woman shouldn't hide no relationship with a man. It's nothing private about it. Why do you want to keep your relationship private? Unless it's something wrong. Unless you got other people out there you tended to, unless you're ashamed of that person, unless you just using that person. Again, we men know how much and then guess what, brothers? I mean sisters. I mean brothers. Let me go back to brother. Brother, guess what? There's some women that just want you for what you have. They just want what's in your pocket. There are some women that look at you like you're an ATM machine. They just want what you got. They don't care nothing about you. They don't call you. They don't text you. They don't do nothing. They want you to carry them out. They want to spend all the money they want. They will not even pay the tip. They want you to take them to a 5-star restaurant. They want you to take them on a cruise. They want you to take them to Paris and all that kind of stuff. They want you to get their hair done. They want you to get their nails done. They want you to pay for their girl trip. They want you to do all that. They want to get all your money, some of them. You go to the bars, a lot of those women, some of these guys, you go to a bar, they don't even want to talk to you unless you buy them a drink. And a lot of them, for those of you that go to club and you playing that little stupid game, when I was a young lad, when I used to go to club, I'm going to tell you this. I didn't think I was Denzel Washington enough, but I wasn't going to buy no woman no drink just to talk to me. Why I had to buy a woman a drink to talk to me? I may talk to her. I may buy, when I was out there in the club, I would buy her a drink if the conversation was pleasant. I was not going to buy no woman no drink just to talk. Who she was. You can call me Stingy if you want to. I've been called Stingy before, but I do not lead with my pocket. I used to be called Stingy, but I wasn't a fool when it came to financing. I wasn't going to get no woman no money to spend time with me. I might do something if we had something going on. It was 2 before my wife, 2 relationships that I invested in. Other than that, if I didn't invest in it, Now, as far as a relationship, that one, I would do a lot for that one. She ain't even got to ask me that. You know why I do a lot for that one? Because she's my wife. She don't have to ask me for nothing. You know why? Because I believe in what is called just because. I'm not building myself up. What is just because? I don't wait for no holidays. I don't wait for her birthday. I don't wait for no anniversary to do things for my wife. I don't have the media do not have to say, Tony, you got to do this for your wife. You need to take her out and all that kind of stuff. No, common sense. If the Lord is in a man, he knows to do some things for her because just because Jesus loves us, he give us air and we don't even think about it. We need it, but he give us air. Now, some of you all say, oh, I am breathing. I am breathing. Ain't I? Yeah, Jesus do things just because he loves us. If my wife needs something, I do it just because I know she have need. She know that I have needs. My brother and sister, I hope that you all got something out of this small Q&A. I hope that you all got something out of the dinner table tonight. Remember, 3 reasons why you should only allow God to select your mate, because Father knows best. I love you, brother. I love you, sister. Peace out.